Doing well. We are now recording in live here on Facebook. So welcome to, let's see what is today, September 28th, 2022, live with Kevin Onizuk, Alcova Mortgage. Again, bringing you information today in real estate and mortgages to help you make smart, intelligent choices and avoid costly mistakes if you are buying or selling a home today in this kind of wild market of real estate. And, you know, this has been the last couple of years, there's been no shortage of kind of incredible things happening in the world. And I say incredible, not always what we would desire, but definitely remarkable things have been happening in real estate, and it's been a topic of discussion. And there is no less a shortage of wild, if not remarkable, things still happening in the real estate markets and in mortgages today. So Kevin, we're coming into, the end of September, and earlier this year, interest rates spiked, to into the 6% range right in June. And that was a real quick rise into that range. And then they settled down. It kind of came down into the fives there for a little while. And then just recently, within the last month, the rises have come in, and now we're into this, definitely higher range of interest rates. And the world economy, and it's not just what's happening here in the US. I think that's something that's a little confusing, because some of the rate jumps and the spikes that we saw this week, where rates just in the last week and a half have almost jumped nearly a point. And it's not just that the Fed raised their overnight rate, it's other stuff associated with what's going on in the UK and their markets, and some bond trading that's going on there internationally. Our global economy is, or our United States economy is so interconnected with all these other global economic factors that one thing here in the United States doesn't necessarily everything that's happening. So, but there's a lot that's happening right here in the U.S. that involves our own real estate market. So, gosh, interesting time to be talking about housing, talking about mortgages. What are your thoughts on kind of what the mortgage market is doing, and how can we help some buyers now to have some confidence that they should, if they're looking to buy a home, what do you think they should do?
I think there's a saying, may you live in interesting times, which we definitely have over the past few years. During the pandemic, we had artificially lowered interest rates. We had money pumped into the economy. And unfortunately, there's no such thing as free money. That stimulated inflation. And there's been some other factors as well. And inflation is actually what's causing the higher mortgage rates. That's the enemy of mortgage rates, not the Federal Reserve increases. That's actually friendly to long-term rates such as mortgages. They are trying to stop the inflation, trying to slow the economy down a bit, and that's expected to help mortgage rates have some recovery. That being said, if you look historically, we're still at about average levels. If you look over the life of mortgages, heck, you had in the 70s people paying 16 to 18% on a mortgage. And if you average it out over the years, you're probably looking 6s to 7s as average typical mortgage rates. So We're kind of just normalizing in the market. We're just not used to this. It's just, we've been spoiled by really low rates for a long time. But it's not just the U.S. economy, as you mentioned. The world's financial markets are really in chaos right now. And you know what? Chaos brings opportunity. A lot of folks throughout history have gotten really rich by capitalizing on chaos. When everybody else is losing their mind, they keep theirs and look for opportunities, and buyers can do that right now. As everybody else is losing their mind and maybe even stepping out of the game, you're going to get some anxious sellers, you're going to get some folks that are willing to make some deals. You're going to have some power. You're going to be in the driver's seat as a buyer again. So you can go out and negotiate. You can get seller paid closing costs. You can make offers below the listing price. We haven't seen that in a while. And you'll see a lot of investors out there are going to start jumping on this opportunity, because smart money folks know that, again, when there's chaos, there's opportunity, and now can be a great time to buy. You can get some great deals on real estate, which is expected to keep appreciating, and mortgages are just temporary. If you pay a little bit higher rate for now, in 6 months or a year, just refinance. We love the phrase, marry the house, date the mortgage.
Right. Hearing that a lot these days. That's a phrase that I think is something important to keep in mind. Because certainly if you're in the place where you need a home, and rents are not going to be going down. And that's another factor of inflation, is that the costs of everything is going to continue to rise while this inflation is as we're trying to get this thing under control, as the Fed is taking its actions, it's trying to keep that under control, but it's at still 8% plus at this point. And that means that you're still borrowing free money. If you think about it, if inflation is 8% and your interest rate is 6.5 or 7%, you're borrowing money at less than it actually costs the money.
Yes.
So the value of money is eroding. And that's, I think, something to point out here with home prices, is that I believe that historically we're going to look at and see that May of 2022, these are the months that I'm seeing in our real estate market, is that we reached a peak of pricing in May of 2022. That was earlier this year. As interest rates were still kind of on this little increasing rise. People were jumping on the bandwagon in April, May, getting houses under contract and closing and bidding them still way up over asking price. So in those days, homes were selling still significantly over asking price. That's what the market conditions were at that point. So arguably those were fabricated, unnatural housing prices. So if we look at those prices, today's prices coming into end of September 2022 are going to be less than what a house would have closed. So if your neighbor's house, say you lived in a neighborhood where homes are $500,000 here in Williamsburg, and your neighbor's house was listed for $500,000 in April, and it closed and sold for $530,000, maybe $550,000, that wouldn't have been unheard of at that point in time. If your home is very much like that, you're not going to sell your house for $550,000 today. In fact, you're probably going to be needing to consider that your price, if you want to sell today, needs to be at some level less than $500,000 that will give you what return is reasonable based on the traditional projection of home prices. Now, again, home prices aren't dropping, which is that I hear that terminology used, and every time I hear it, it kind of just makes me question the source, because home prices are not dropping. What they are is they were artificially high at that point in time. Now they're normalizing, and with the pressure of interest rates, obviously that takes some buyers out of the market in some cases. But these home prices are stabilizing, and unfortunately, the value of the dollar is what's eroding. So the price is going to remain pretty steady, while the value of the dollar and the ability of that dollar to do more of its thing is going to be eroded. So the price of homes is not likely to change or drop as much as you're not going to get that $550,000 for a $500,000 house. And depending on your motivation, this is where the buyer opportunity is really powerful now, is because now that time on market, you're going to have sellers that want to sell. And if they are in that position where they really want to sell, they're going to have to be willing to work with the buyer, because now we got these higher interest rates, the buyer sentiment, the buyer motivation is going to be more of really paying close attention to what they're getting for what they're paying. And that is going to help drive prices. It's going to help balance prices out. It's going to normalize our market. Homes are probably not going to sell in one weekend with multiple contracts. Now I take that with a caveat. I was going to show properties about a week and a half ago, and I was calling to schedule appointments to go see these properties. And I was being informed that these properties had just hit the market within 24 hours, and they already had multiple contracts over asking price even today. Now, of course, this was 2 weeks ago, but I mean, this was relevant in today's market. If a home is priced correctly, carefully, thoughtfully, given consideration to all the factors in the market, then it is still going to attract buyers because there is still such a low inventory. We are still in a place where inventory is so low. And a lot of that's because sellers still at this point have a lot of equity. We're not seeing, high level of foreclosures. If somebody has equity, they are going to hold on to it. And in fact, now sellers have, unless they're really in that place where they want to or should sell, they're going to want to hold on to that lower interest rate. So the motivated seller, they're out there now, and the buyer has an advantage because of the market conditions, but we're still in a seller's market at this point. It's shifting, and the buyer definitely has an advantage. That seller has to be really thoughtful in how they price their home. And this is where the whole, making sure that you have your pricing right with the proper CMA, knowing your market, knowing what's actually happening in the market and the pressures that the market is facing, taking that into consideration with the pricing. Because I think we're in a steady environment where interest rates are not just going to be dropping. I think I would like to say that we're going to see them remain pretty steady in this range, but the inclination is for them to be on the rise, not on the decline, at least for the foreseeable future. But we also don't see home prices just dropping off the cliff either.
Yep. Yeah. A recent statistic just came out that homeowners in the United States have 71% equity, meaning the total value of mortgages is only 29% of the property values, just residential single family homes, which means there really aren't any foreclosures happening. So that's also hurting supply. If folks get into financial trouble, they're not upside down and underwater. They don't have to go to foreclosure. They can just sell and walk away with their equity. Right. So yeah, there's not forced inventory coming onto the market. You're not going out and picking up foreclosures at rock bottom prices. It's just not out there unless it's a really jacked up property. We'll just say, unless it's got a lot of condition issues that it just wasn't able to be sold. So yeah, there's just folks have so much equity that there's just a lot of opportunity for folks to sell or just stick it out, stay where they are because they've got low interest rates. Yeah. But those that do need to sell, you always have folks that are relocating, moving for work. They have reasons why they have to sell. Those people are motivated sellers now. Yes.
And I think that, buying a home is always a journey. And so if you're watching this video and you're seeing Kevin and I talking about what's happening in real estate and worried about uncertainties, life is a journey. And when you're buying real estate, it is certainly a journey. And the point I think that is really important to make is that you should have somebody helping to guide you in that journey. A real estate professional, Kevin, with your mortgages, will help guide you through that process of getting the right mortgage for you, helping you navigate your finances so that you're placing yourself in the right position. You should work with a real estate professional. That's what I'm here for, is to help you find the home that's the right one for you. And if it's not right, don't feel like you're going to be pressured to buy something, because that's not what we do. Our goal is to guide you through this journey to get you to the place that you want to be, so that you can have the home that's going to work right for you, for your family, for your future. And there is nothing like owning a home to put you in a place to provide for your family and your future. And that doesn't change just because interest rates are at 7%. In fact, if anything, it's just as important now to make that consideration. I'm reminded again, used the same analogy last week. When's the best time to plant a tree? Yesterday. When's the next best time to plant a tree? Well, it's today. So, if you're thinking about waiting, there's going to be a cost potentially to waiting, and make sure that you know kind of all the factors as you're making that decision. Yeah, there's so much more that we want to talk about, Kevin, but it's 23 minutes after the hour. This is great to have this conversation again this morning. Anything else you want to, anything else that you want to talk about this morning?
Oh, no, I think that covers it. Our mortgage minute typically goes a lot longer than a minute.
It does. Let's see here. See, now I got to look them actually up and see if I can find something. How many telemarketers does it take to change a light bulb?
I don't know. How many?
Only one, but he has to do it while you're eating dinner.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Well, there's our dad joke for the day. Thank you for joining me again this morning, and I'll be getting this saved so that it goes on to YouTube as well. If you have any questions about real estate, any questions about mortgages, Kevin's contact information will be in this video in the link in the description. If you have any questions about real estate, please feel free to reach out. You can leave a comment in the comment section on the page or message me through the button, and we are glad to help you, and we are here for you. So once again, happy to bring you this information. Kevin, awesome talking to you. I will make sure to talk to you again soon. If not sooner, then we will talk again next Wednesday.
Sounds great. Talk to you soon.
All right. Have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.